You're listening to LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma. Let's have some manifesting fun together. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I was just thinking about how one of the sucky things about being my friend... Wait a minute. Does that mean there's more than one sucky thing about being my friend? I hope not. And maybe this isn't that bad. But it's not very flattering. So, I'll tell my manifesting stories all day long, good and bad. You've heard them. I can't tell client stories. That's confidential unless you ask for permission, and I don't like to do that. But if you're my friend, that's kind of fair game for me telling your manifesting stories. And that's what this is. But it isn't necessarily a manifesting success. It does have a happy ending, but this isn't necessarily an example of what to do. This is more of a cautionary tale. But I think that can be helpful when we look at someone else's process. And it's so much easier to see in someone else, isn't it, than it is in ourselves. But when we notice how someone else might be going sideways with their creative power, it kind of gives us a chance to check on our own process, make sure we're not doing the same, that we are actually using our manifesting power for good. So, yeah, this is a story of my friend who sold his property, real estate property, a long time ago. Like, it had to be close to 2 years ago, somewhere between a year and a half, 2 years ago. He sold it, contract signed, but it didn't close right away. Like, the contract had extensions written in there, and the buyer kept using those extensions, and he had to pay every time he did, but he did. So anyway, it was taking forever for this property to close and be funded, and it was causing my guy a couple of issues. He'd been waiting on it a while. We'll just say that. And he was doing exactly that. He was waiting on it, and he wasn't waiting like with joy. He was waiting with like frustration, irritation that it was taking so long. And the more he talked about it, the more extensions happened. It was just taking forever for this money to come through. And it was like nearly a 7-figure deal. So yeah, he was waiting on it. And he was waiting and he was waiting and it was taking forever. And I could see how that was playing out, because the more he talked about how long it was taking, the more delays that happened, until finally, okay, so this should be it. This should really be it. Oh, except then there was one more thing. One more thing got in the way. Okay, so there's another delay. And then, okay, but then it should be now. And that finally did happen. Like, this is the final thing, the last thing that has to happen for it to be funded. And that happened. But they didn't, look, when I closed on my house, I'm trying to think back, like the money was there like immediately. There wasn't any wait, except on this deal. I don't know if it's because it was investment real estate or why it had to be different, but it didn't fund right away. In fact, there was going to be a 10-day delay for him to get a check, no less, not even a wire. Not an electronic deposit. They were going to send a check. And it was a pretty big check. And the contract said they had something like 10 days to send the check. So he's been waiting for a long time. And still, so now it's done. Ta-da, it's done. Nope, still waiting. Because now they got 10 days to send a check. Oh, he's irritated. And then he started fretting a little bit about that check. He started fretting about where were they sending it and how were they sending it? Was someone going to need to sign? And he started thinking and also talking to others about what he was going to do if he didn't get that check. You can see what's happening here, right? You can see what's happening. Universe is listening all the time. It is listening. It is following our vibrational instruction. It can only give us what we're vibrating. It can only give him what he's vibrating, which is delay, frustration. He was also feeling the lack of cooperation from the people who were supposed to be helping, including a real estate agent, his attorney, and other people who were involved, a mediator. Oh, boy. So if he feels like everyone's against him, and maybe I'm exaggerating a little, But I kind of was hearing those elements in his story, and he started to talk about what he was going to say, what he was going to tell his attorney to do if that check wasn't here by 10 days. And I suggested, after like the third time I heard it, I suggested, you might want to stop practicing what you're going to do when you don't get the check when you're supposed to. Just, and he's not LOA savvy. But how can you hang around me that much and not pick up a few tips? I don't know. Anyway, I suggested maybe you want to practice it in your head a little different. And I don't like to offer unsolicited coaching, so I didn't make a big deal of it. But I was kind of thinking, might want to ease up on that version. I don't believe that he did. So in his 10-day waiting period, he kept checking the mail. And then they said, but we need some more stuff from you before we can issue it. So he hurried and got the stuff to them, even though it was a hassle to do because they needed it faxed. Who faxes these days, apparently? Okay, so of course, Universe would put a fax machine in this mix because of delay and frustration that he had activated. So anyway, he does what he's supposed to do, but he's still got that it's kind of a growl around the whole thing. It's just not smooth. He's not loving it. And at least that I can tell. No one ever knows what someone else is vibrating. Maybe his own personal thoughts were quite different. And maybe to me, but the way this unfolded, I'm pretty sure I got a pretty good handle on what he was vibrating because... So they need more intel before they're going to release a check. And then, they've got what they need. The check should be on the way within 10 days. And he's doing the 10-day count, and he's checking the mail. And he's checking the mail again. And every day he's bringing in mail that does not have his check in it. And he's starting to think about how mad he's going to be and what he's going to do and what someone had better fix. Until eventually and I remember I had suggested maybe you want to practice something different, but I don't think he did. And then it's day 10, and it should be here now. It was not in that day's mail. It was not in the mail. Oh, man, he was pretty mad. And he had called his attorney 2 days before because he kind of suspected. Well, that was smart of him to suspect. That's what he was practicing so well. And his attorney's kind of blowing him off because I'm sure she's thinking, this is fine. Stop worrying about it. She was kind of blowing him off. She didn't respond to him until 15 minutes before the end of the business day on day 10. And she said, well, he has till the end of the business day, like there's a check suddenly going to materialize out of nowhere. I mean, he really wasn't getting great support, if you ask me. But how could he when he's telling the story? He's telling that story. You can't even blame anyone else. It's the version he had activated. So... When it isn't there, the next day his attorney reaches out to the other attorney and finds out, the guy had a misunderstanding about when it was going to be issued. Of course he did. My guy manifested all of this. I don't know if he's going to take credit for it. Probably not. But we know how this works, right? When he's been practicing so well that there's no check and it's taking forever, even when it's supposed to be done. How can it be if you haven't changed your vibration first? And so many people wait for the reality to change their vibration. But conscious creators, we're smart like this, right? We know. Don't wait. Give yourself what you want first. Give yourself the feeling or the pictures or the sounds of it. Somehow, some way, you want to practice what you want rather than practicing what you don't want or what you don't have. Isn't this such a good example of it? Okay, so supposedly, attorneys get straightened out. They're on the same page. And for real, the check is going to be issued. For real. And next day, it wasn't there. Was it the next day it still wasn't there? I can't remember if it was day 2 or day 3 when I was leaving the house, which I don't do very often, but I was leaving the house and he said, hey, check the mail on your way. And you know what I thought? That's actually a smart idea. I should probably have been checking the mail all this time because I don't have that same vibration. I mean, he has been kind of coaching me into his vibe on this subject, but anytime you could get someone else in on it who doesn't have sabotaging vibration, but someone who has something more aligned, it's good to get them in on it if you can. Remember, this is why sometimes I would send my friend into the vet with my animal if I knew I couldn't, it was going to be hard for me to stay out of worry, but he had no problem. He knew it was no big deal. I'd send him in instead. Boy, that served really well. Or when I have a computer problem. Oh my God, he does that all the time. Oh my gosh, he's helped me with so many technical things because he's got a better vibration on it than I do. So I suspected that's probably smart. I should check the mail because I have a better vibration on it. And I went and I didn't care. I didn't care whether it was there or not. It wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't have his... I'm going to stop saying what I think was vibrating because, I don't really know. But I didn't have any charge on it whatsoever. I opened the mailbox. Sure enough, there it is. So I go to text him that it's here. And my phone won't. And I'm not that far away from the house. My mailbox isn't right at my house. It's down the road. I'm not that far away. My phone wouldn't text. I tried a picture. Picture wouldn't go either. And I started driving away, and I thought, he's going to need to know this before I get back because I'm pretty sure he's going to want to go deposit that check today, and it was getting close to closing time. And I thought, I better call him because my text's not going through, the picture's not going through. And I started laughing because I realized his check is here. And even then, it's hard for him to get that message because his vibration of it's not here, it's taking forever is so powerful. It was literally rejecting my texts confirming that it was here. Oh, I think it's kind of funny. So I did call him and I did tell him. And he did eventually, he got the check, he got it deposited. But I thought it was a really cool example, not necessarily a fun one for him, but a really cool example of the power of our story and how smart we are to get ahead of what reality is and practice the version that we prefer, to practice lightening up or to practice not thinking about it too much if we can't lighten up on the subject or anything else that feels better. Even if all he did was practice the vibrations of appreciation and satisfaction and great service. I do feel bad talking about him this way, but he doesn't listen to my podcast. Clearly, he doesn't listen to my podcast, right? Maybe one day he will, and I could tell a different story. This is the same guy, though, who did Wouldn't It Be Nice If with me the other day and brought horses into my world. So he's capable of really powerful things. We all are. Each and every one of us all are. We're doing it every day. Everything that we focus on is coming into reality. It's coming to fruition. This episode is all about inviting us to make sure that we're focused on what we want instead of what we don't want or instead of what we've got that we aren't loving. It doesn't take much to turn that around. So if you've got a story about something that matters to you, maybe check on it and see if you're telling the version that's supporting the manifestation of what you prefer or whether it's holding it up. And I think what we can also glean from this example is for us to stop waiting for what we want and give that to ourselves now, right? Okay, thanks for listening. Thanks to my friend for letting me tell a story. Okay, I didn't actually ask permission. Maybe I will next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye.